I'm Tiffany Whitney, and this is my story. Growing up, I was so lucky. I lived in California and was surrounded by lakes, rivers, gorgeous, gorgeous weather. And then we also lived in Hawaii, on Oahu for a while. And that was just an unbelievable place, full of possibilities. My family also, when I was younger, we raised horses. And I think we had 20 horses at one point. And I always think of that as being really significant in my life when I was younger, because I was, a little girl. I realized that through mutual respect and trust building with these huge animals, I was able to influence what they did. Jump over a fence, follow me here, that kind of thing. So I had a really, really unbelievable childhood when I look back at it. My mother had a really clear vision of who she thought I should be. And she was constantly pushing me into beauty pageants, modeling school. I hated every minute of it. I was very tall for my age, taller than all the boys in my class, all the girls in my class, and I was very awkward and really self-conscious. So every time she was thrusting me into these spotlights, the more uncomfortable I became. But a significant thing came from that, and that is where I was really exposed to the power of belief, where I realized that just because someone you respect or look up to, believes you should be something, it doesn't always have to be true. And sometimes it takes courage to really see that. There was a couple things that I faced in my formative years, but one of the biggest challenges I faced was struggling in school. I loved to read, and normally in school that wouldn't be a bad thing, but for me, it became a big distraction. I was very drawn into books, historical novels, that kind of thing, and I ended up reading those things in class instead of the subject matter. So I was not a very good student and really didn't think I was that smart. So I walked away from school with that belief. You're really not that smart, Tiff. And that stuck with me for a long time. In my early 20s, I found myself raising my daughter on my own. And it was the first time that I had gotten what I called a real job. And I was a policy typist. I don't even think that exists nowadays, but at the time, that was what I did. And I showed up for work the first day, walked into this room, and there was stacks of files all around me that were like shoulder height. And these were policies that I had to hand type by hand on a manual typewriter. So that was pretty overwhelming, but I just dove in and I started typing these policies and powered through them. Because in the corner of that room, what I saw was these boxes of unopened computers. And I knew if I could get through those policies, I could start opening up those computers. No one knew what to do with them, apparently. So when I was done doing that, I opened up those boxes, started setting them up, started teaching people how to use them, had to teach myself first, but started teaching them how to use them. And that became a thing that made me question this belief in maybe you're not that smart, Tiff. It kind of made me realize that I was maybe smart in a different way, and started crumble that existing belief that I had. And it set the stage for the next 18 years of a very successful career that I had, where I was growing a learning and development organization, which is kind of ironic, in a Fortune 500 company, where I was training myself and my team, training 20, 30,000 individuals a year, holding hundreds of thousand learning events. So as I was a learning leader, I really became fascinated with neuroscience. And I started weaving that into the learning and development that we were doing, and also the leadership that we were producing. And that's when something really significant happened in my life. And that was when my son had a very serious mental health crisis. And the experts told us that we probably should institutionalize him and that he probably was not going to get better. And I had a very difficult time believing that. I really did. I couldn't believe it, as a matter of fact. So what I did is I doubled down on the neuroscience. I started studying neuroplasticity, resilience, and how you could rewire your brain. And through that, he's healthy now. He is able to have a really fulfilling life. But I can tell you, it was a really easy thing to believe the experts and what they were telling you. So that taught me again, you don't always need to believe the experts, and that beliefs can have really dangerous outcomes. So to be really careful what you do believe. I learned really well through failure, apparently, because I like to do it over and over again. One of the things that was really devastating to me at the time, I can laugh about it now, but I can tell you I wasn't laughing about it at the time. I was very driven, and I thought that's what it took to be successful. But what I did is I had driven this team so hard that on a Friday afternoon, an entire office walked out and quit, gone, completely gone. It was pretty devastating. But there's a core lesson in there to learn that, you know, being driven isn't enough for success, that empathy, understanding others is a really important aspect of that too, and as part of being a leader, and then also it became foundational to my coaching career too. So today, I'm a career leadership coach, and I work with a lot of very successful professionals that have been successful in a career, but then find themselves stuck. And I find that they're believing, I'm too old to change, this is the way life is for me now, those type of things. They have these core beliefs. And it's my job to help them challenge these beliefs. And many of my clients are really looking for what's next for them. And a lot of them are looking at business ownership. And to help someone move from an employee to a business owner takes a pretty big shift in mindset and challenges a lot of individual beliefs. So by working with people to help them create these new beliefs, to create this new future, and to see these new possibilities in their life is probably one of the most rewarding things I've ever done, and it really what keeps me going every day. When you combine belief with action, you can design a new life for yourself versus one by default. I'm Tiffany Whitney, and this is my story.